Welcome to Reference Statistics. We keep statistics using a modified version of the Reed Scale, Reference Effort Assessment Data. The Reed Scale has 6 points, but we use 4. Why? What do we need with statistics? Whatever for. Fortunately or unfortunately, we are a data-driven society. Data is used to make decisions. Data is how we show our value, our worth. Data also helps us plan our services and staffing levels, such as whether there's one person or two staff or librarians during a certain time, or whether or not we have one student only. So, why the Reed Scale? Previously, statistics were based on the amount of time it took to answer a question. That didn't really get at the effort, the knowledge, nor the tools required to answer a question. For instance, it can take 30 minutes to explain where the so-and-so building is, especially if you're at the downtown campus, but that doesn't require a high level of knowledge or training. It requires a great deal of patience, though.
Let's go over the transaction form. This should be bookmarked at your service point. The campus should reflect where you work. I am at Clarkston. The location should reflect the service point where the patron transaction took place. For combined circulation and reference desks, you may want to select circulation and reference or circulation only. That will depend. So make sure you check with your department head to verify. And in person is the question format when you add a service point. If you received a question via email, then more than likely your location is going to change to your office if you're fortunate enough to have office or your cube. So it still would be office. So we have a modified version of the Reed scale, which is here. The original Reed scale has 6 points. We have a 4.
First level, directional, very basic uh, questions that maybe you do not use any reference tools to answer. Think, where's the restroom? What floor is the quiet floor? These types of questions do require some knowledge of your workplace, but do not require you to use a tool. Answers that require the least amount of effort, there are no specialized knowledge or skills or expertise used, and no consultation of resources. The second level, some effort required. If you've worked circulation for years, you have probably checked out 1,000 books. Checking out a book may seem so basic to you that you mark it as a 1. I'm recommending using a 2. There's some effort required because you are now using a tool of the trade, which in this case would be the software Alma. Looking up a book in the catalog is another example. Answers in this category require more effort than your directional questions. They require the minimum level of specific knowledge, skills, or expertise, and maybe a nominal use of resource consultation. The third level, at this point, you may start using a specific database, even if it's one of our general databases, such as Academic Search Complete or the ProQuest one, or even the Newspapers Plus. It requires a slightly higher level of knowledge. We have over 200 databases, so knowing exactly which one to start with requires knowledge and expertise. So don't sell yourself short here. Answers in this category requires some effort and time, probably a little bit more time than you would use at level 2. Consultation of perhaps a ready reference resource is needed in addition to a database. You may engage in minimal instruction with the patron, and then your reference knowledge and skills come into play. So just think this is where you're beginning to ask those clarifying questions, which may result in the use of something like an encyclopedia or database. Okay, so for the fourth level, which is the highest level that we use, the significant effort required. This requires more time, but several sources are being used. This could lead to a consultation being made, such as when you schedule that follow-up on chat via email because you need more time to consult multiple sources to find the answers. Exchanges can be made more instruction based as staff teach users more in-depth research skills. So perhaps using how to use Boolean operators, how to construct those long search strings where you're using the asterisk for the stem of the word and all those kinds of things. How to cross-reference sources and track related supported materials. Maybe you even at some point, because you've done a level of things and we may not have it, this is where you may instruct on using interlibrary loan. You may call a subject librarian, one of your colleagues, for assistance. Our scale stops here because it is thought at this point the question, once you've done all that you can do with all the resources, that this is when you're going to transfer it to either another service point or another reference specialist. Usually more time is required than what you may have at a service desk, and you may have to go down several of the proverbial rabbit holes to find what you're looking for in this instance. And even after that, you may not find it, but you've used every tool in your arsenal, 5, 6, 7 databases perhaps, and then you've handed it off to someone more inclined with that or more in tune with that particular question or subject area. So why do we do all this again, and what happens with these statistics? Well, one thing is they appear in the library's annual report, and this is a snapshot from the page telling our use, number of reference transaction, you see the number of circulation statistics, as well as number of interlibrary loans, so forth and so on, digital use of our sources. Again, we do this to show our value and our worth. And where do these statistics end up other than our annual report? Well, there are several statistical agencies that we use, that we report to because of our membership or so forth. And one of the popular government sources that I know I've used a lot is National Center for Education Statistics. We, as well as other academic libraries can send out information there, which can then be used to trace or track national trends. Again, showing what each library is doing and seeing if we're all affected the same way, such as when COVID happened. That would show a definite pattern of how our reference transactions were affected. Now, you may be tempted to lie with statistics to oversell our value and our worth or our importance. And in times of budget crisis, that might even seem like a better idea to say, hey, we're really busy. But I would suggest that you do the opposite of Nike in this case and don't do it. Just don't do it. All right. That's it for reference statistics. Again, we use the read scale. Make sure you use it after every transaction. I believe that we underreport what we're doing. So let's make sure we're getting credit for every effort that we make.